So the most effective way to align yourself for success is not to focus on what you want, but to focus on who you want to become. And it may sound simple to say that, but I'm going to break it down and explain exactly why that is. And this is one thing that like I had heard it in the past. Someone like I think I heard it a couple times and never really clicked. And then when it did click, it made a big difference. And so I want you guys to have the same breakthrough and I want you guys to have the same success. There's basically three layers of behavior change. One is outcomes, two is processes, and three is identity. Outcomes are things that you want to have happen, right? So outcomes are like, changing the results, like maybe losing weight, growing your med spa, maybe it's publishing a book, maybe it's, becoming an expert injector, whatever, those are all outcomes, right? The processes are the systems and habits that lead to the outcomes. So for example, having a new routine at the gym to maybe help you lose weight, increase muscle, the AIC video system that we deployed earlier, the three levels of the videos and the formulas you use to make those videos, that's, for example, a process. And the cold outreach strategy, which we just finished here in the fourth quarter challenge, that's also a process. And one of the things, part of the reason why I want to make this video is that a lot of people have the process, but I can see them struggle because of what we're going to talk about next, which is the identity. And your identity is your beliefs, your worldview, and probably most importantly, or kind of the same as your self-image. The way that you view yourself is actually has to do a lot with your beliefs. And if you ever want to see, if you want to really dig into this, you can read this interesting book called Psycho-Cybernetics. But it's by a guy named Maxwell Maltz, who was a plastic surgeon. And basically the plastic surgeon found that a lot of times when he did surgeries, like he would do someone's like nose job, for example, and then like, even though they would look good, they still had issues because their identity didn't change, even though the surgery had changed their face. A very interesting book if you want to read it. But basically the important thing to take away from this is that the identity is what will help you grow. So how most people try to grow is they try to focus on their outcomes. And they try to say like, hey, I want to have more patients in my med spa. I want to be a better injector. I want to lose weight. I want to run a marathon. I want to write a book, whatever it is. Those are the outcomes. And then after they focus on that, then they try to go backwards to the process and usually never do they ever get to the identity. The actual best way to grow and to align yourself for success is the exact opposite of what most people do. And you'll also see over time that this is a very common trend, by the way, that many times the exact opposite of what majority of people are doing is actually the path to success. And there's a mathematical reason why, and we'll probably talk about that in the future. But just in general, you should always realize that like if everybody's doing something in general, you should probably do the opposite. Anyway, the best way to grow is basically start with your identity. And so the easiest, most successful way to grow is basically change your identity. And then once you change your identity, then it will lead to the processes that you need to do, which will then lead to the outcome. And so let me try to give you a little bit of practical example here. So the goal, for example, if you want to like read a book, it's not to say, hey, if I focus on reading this book. The goal is to become a reader. And because you are a reader, you'll naturally want to read books. The goal is not to run a marathon, but to become a runner so that because you're a runner, you're going to run, and then you have a much more likely chance of actually running a marathon. And then, for example, the goal is not to learn Botox, but the goal is to become an injector, because while you can learn Botox, to become an injector means that you have a lifelong of learning, you're always advancing your skills, etc. And all you guys know that because you're diamonds, and diamonds gotta shine. I had to throw that in there. But basically, you already are committed to growing in these things because you're here. There's two processes or two steps basically to change your identity. They're very, very simple. One is to decide the type of person you want to be. So basically decide the outcome that you want. So maybe your outcome is, hey, I want to have more people in my med spa. I want to grow my business. I want to be able to not have to work in the operating room. I want to be able to have my own company where I can call my shots, where I can eventually hire other people to work for me. And then I can, take a step back. Whatever it is that your desire is, whatever it is that your outcome is, take a step back and say, who would I have to be in order for that to be true? And it takes maybe 10 minutes max, maybe 15, worst case, but just take a step back and ask yourself, who do you have to be in order for you to reach the thing that you need to do. And when you start to change your identity, what you're going to find is that you start to align yourself for success, and it's way more likely that you're successful because things start to line up.